All right, let's talk some Eagles football with our next guest, Eliot Shorr-Parks. Eliot joins us every single Tuesday. This is the new time, by the way, Eliot, 8:30 on Tuesdays, or in this case, 8:33. Brought to us by Colonial Hyundai. Shop online 24/7 at colonialhyundai.com. Colonial Hyundai, the fast, easier, better way to buy a Hyundai. Eliot, good morning, pal.
What up? How you guys doing?
Good, my man. Eliot, let's just start with that Paul George thing, and then we'll get to the Eagles. Do you think it would be advisable for Paul George, if it's just a regular type of medication that a doctor can prescribe, to just say to the world, this is what it was, to get people off his back from thinking maybe he actively tried to cheat with a true PED?
No, I don't think so. It's because I don't think enough people really care. Like, why keep this story going, right? I mean, he broke the rule. He got suspended. And I think that everyone, it feels like the fans have just moved on. It certainly hurts the
about
team.
that, man.
I mean, I don't know. I don't see a lot of people in the street demanding what's going on with Paul George, right? So I think that I get your point. I guess it would help clear things up. But, he clearly broke the rule. He'll be suspended, and I think that kind of is what it is. I don't think going into more information really helps anybody.
Okay. Ellie, let's get to the Birds. A lot of our show today is centered around the big picture of whether they're still on track within this era of excellence, that they just win year over year, and every 2 or 3 years they pop up as a Super Bowl contender, and they're one of the beasts of the East, or not. That what we saw this year was signs of trouble. In the next 2 to 3 years, things could start derailing. Which side of that ledger do you come down on more for the future?
So I fall more on the side of I'm worried about the future than thinking they're just going to keep this up. And it's worth noting that the pace they've been winning at is basically impossible to keep up. I mean, they're winning almost 75-80% of their games. They're going to the Super Bowl every other year. So, keeping this pace up would be really hard. But my concern for the future is not, is Nick Sirianni a good head coach? Is Sean Mannion a good OC? You can win with Jalen Hurts at quarterback. My concern is the pieces around those. For the first time in a while, for the past few years, it's been, all right, everything on the roster is great. What's going on with Nick and Jalen? Now I think the question is really, what's going on with the rest of the offensive roster, right? Is Lane going to play next year? And if he does, how good of a player will he be? What's going to happen with Landon Dickerson? Will he ever be the same player? Cam Jurgens, can he rebound from the back injury? And if they do trade AJ, which I think is the more likely of the outcomes for this, then you look at that roster, and Dallas Goedert's a free agent. AJ's not there. Is Saquon going to be the same guy? So my concern is not big picture with the big picture pieces. My concern is more with the rest of the roster.
Eliot, what do we know about when the Eagles knew? This is going on to the Vic Fangio thing. When did he let the Eagles know that he was thinking about this possibility of retiring, and how does that coincide with the Christian Parker becoming the new defensive coordinator for the Cowboys? That timeline.
Yeah. I think at Vic Fangio's age, there's always discussion after the season. They had that discussion last year, and I think it's more real than it's really ever been. I know there was a report yesterday. The Eagles expect him to come back. I wouldn't feel as confident about that. I feel like at this point, just based off everything I've heard, until he's at that podium for that OTA press conference, I think there's always going to be concern about what could happen. So in terms of the timeline with Christian Parker, I think that ultimately Christian Parker took a good job because he didn't want to wait around. They can't stop him. It was a promotion. They got Clint Hurt back. If Fangio were to retire, I think he could be a possibility to be promoted. But just the reality is, when Vic Fangio at this age, that it's going to be a question every year.
So do you think it is the age, or do you think it's frustration, Eliot?
I think it's the age. I don't think it's frustration. I don't know what he would really have to be frustrated about. He has one of the best defensive coordinator jobs in the NFL. He has a loaded roster with a ton of young talent. He has complete control of that side of the ball. He works in the city that he grew up in. He can go to the Phillies easily. I think it's truly just age. He's been doing it for a really long time. He's accomplished everything that you can really accomplish as a defensive coordinator. So I don't think it has to do with frustration at all.
Do we have any further, clarity on the Mannion-Grizzard combo pack and how those two are going to play off one another? The more I think about this, the more exciting it gets for me, but it's still the fact remains that only one of them has called plays, and it's only been for like a season and a half. It does feel like they can put their brains together, though, and I'm wondering if that's part of what the Eagles had expected, if this is like a 2-for-1 combo pack offensive coordinator.
Yeah, so I hate to use this word because I know it's a word they use a lot, but I do think in this instance it's truly applicable. Like, it is collaborative. I think that with the offensive side of the ball, we always want to do the, like, he made that call. This is in because of him. And there is instances where that's true. But the offense is built by Nick for Jalen with last year Kevin Patullo and the other coaches involved, with Stoutland, designing the run. I thought earlier this week, Jason Kelsey made a good point, or I guess it would have been last week actually, about how, when he was there, it truly was like everybody doing a little bit of piece of everything. And there's some negatives to that, but that's how they've done things, right? So I think going into next year, yes, Mannion will call plays. Like, Grizzard will be the pass game coordinator, but I don't think there's going to be like a true chain of command outside of the fact that Nick is the head coach and the most important voice on the offensive side of the ball. I think outside of that, it'll be pretty collaborative.
So is it Grizzard or Grizzard?
I thought it was Grizzard, but
all right. Yeah, I've heard
Grizzard.
both. I don't know.
Eliot, number one need for this team to improve at a position when you think in free agency in the draft. Is it as simple as the O-line, or do you start thinking about wide receiver and more because of the AJ stuff?
No, I think it's the O-line. I mean, if they got better O-line play last year, I think they probably beat the Niners. Who knows what happens against Chicago? Maybe they're a higher seed. Like, I really think ultimately there were obviously a lot of reasons they struggled. But if they just got the same level of O-line play that they got the year before, I think they would have been fine. I think they would have ran the ball better. I think the pass protection obviously would have been better, which helped the passing game, would have made Patullo a better play caller, like all those things. So if I look at this season coming up, what do they need the most? They need to find a way to get Landon to play like Landon, Cam to play like Cam, and hope Lane has one more year in him. And if that's not going to be the case, and they think internally they're skeptical of that, then the offensive line is priority 1, 2, 3, and 4. Like, you have got to find a guy in the draft that maybe you think can play guard right away, and then play tackle, if Lane does come back. And honestly, like, if you don't think Lane and Cam are healthy, you might need to sign some version of a priority free agent. Now, it's a tough thing to sign because the guy's going to come in to be a backup, but they have to have better quality backups behind Landon and Cam if they think physically they just might not be the same.
An extension of the O-line is the tight end, essentially, and a lot of the pass protections and the run blocking schemes. Dallas Goedert last year, he just flat out didn't block as well. And we don't know if he'll be back. If he's not back, Grant Calcaterra is not good at blocking. And I like Cam Latu as a blocker, but I don't know that he can do a whole lot of other stuff. Where do we sit in terms of tight end? And man, it feels like we need a lot, not just like one tight end.
Well, I mean, there's a chance it's a completely new tight end room. We'll see if the tight end coach, Jason Michael, is brought back. I know they're going through the process now of deciding which of those offensive coaches will be brought back. But if he's not back, you then go down the tight end depth chart. Dallas Goedert's a free agent. Grant Calcaterra is a free agent. Kylan Granson's a free agent. E.J. Jenkins is basically a free agent every week of his career. So, like, they could be an entirely new room. I think last year in the draft, especially in the second round, they really wanted to draft a tight end. The draft did not fall the way where they were able to do it. I think that will be a priority this offseason. And Goddard's an interesting question because he couldn't have had a much better free agency year, right? Like, going into that final year of his contract, he was maybe the best player on the whole offensive side of the ball. So will they pay money for him? I mean, you might have to. And if you don't, then I think you really have to prioritize it in the draft, or you go out and you make a trade, like someone like Kyle Pitts, right? Like a tight end that maybe elsewhere has not reached his potential, but we know the Eagles like to take chances on those guys. So yeah, I think there's a world where the entire tight end room is a new one next year.
Kyle Pitts as a blocker, though.
Yeah, that's my concern on Pitts. Eliot, it's been 3 years since Jalen got his contract. It was after 2022. Obviously, it's around the time his agent could approach Howie and say, all right, let's do it. I mean, Howie's got to say not this offseason, right? I mean, he just has to look him in the eye and say, your guy's got to go prove it to me again, right?
I don't know if that's what Howie will say. I mean, the Jalen's a good example of guys should always get the money when they have the most power. I mean, the fact he didn't get an extension last offseason or a new deal, is pretty crazy. Coming off winning the Super Bowl, winning Super Bowl MVP, and, really at the height of his power probably in the organization. So this offseason, look, if you look at most metrics of where he is in terms of average, total money, those type of things, he's around 9, 10, 11, depending what metric you look at. And that's probably fair. I think that's probably right around where he deserves to be. But with these contracts, it's not normally about what's fair. It's about the fact that his deal is going to be 3 years old. He's a starting quarterback. He's won a Super Bowl since he last got paid. So I get what you're saying. He's not coming off a great year, but it's hard to find other quarterbacks. And if I'm Jalen and the Eagles, and I ask the Eagles for an extension this offseason and they say no, I'll go find a team that will pay me, because there will be plenty of teams out there that will pay Jalen. So I don't think it's as easy.
You're
as
not
just
saying
no.
but Eliot, you're not saying if you were Howie, you'd give it to him, are you?
Yeah, I would.
Come on.
Yeah. I mean, who else are you going to have play quarterback for this team?
Well, first off, he is my current quarterback, so I don't need to search for one immediately. That's number one. Tough cookies, buddy. I got you under contract for 2 years. Deal with it. That's number one.
I think the way to win is not having your franchise most important player upset with his contract. This is not the way to win.
Well, anyway. All right, Eliot, final thing. Let's go back to the Sixers for a sec. Trade deadline's in 2 days. I'm going to give you 3 absolutely different paths. Tell me which one you would endorse. Path 1 is you go all in, you trade Edgecombe for Edgecombe for Giannis. Path 2 is you sit tight. You got what you got, you stand pat, you take your chances with this squad this year. Path 3 is you trade Joel to try to get out from that contract, and you get back expiring contracts and you reset the salary cap for years to come. Which of those 3 would you endorse?
So I'm closer to 3 than I am 1 if I had to pick. I'm not trading VJ Edgecombe. I'm just not doing it. But if I had to pick and I'm Daryl, I'm number 2. This is the most normal, fun, good the Sixers have been in a really long time. I know they're not the best team in the East, but they're also not dealing with tons of controversy, dealing with all types of things. I know Paul George is dealing with the suspension, but he'll be back for the playoffs. I think they have a good thing going. The vibes seem high. Fans seem to actually like the team right now, and that's no small thing after what they've gone through the past few years. I think holding on to VJ and Maxey is the biggest priority. And then with Joel, look, I mean, we're watching a literal medical miracle before our eyes. Maybe he will just be okay. And if he is, then he's one of the best players in the NBA. So I wouldn't trade him. I wouldn't trade VJ. I would just ride it out with this team.
Yeah, that's exactly where I've netted out. Last week I was trade Joel, and now I'm like, you know what? Just stand pat and let's see what you can do here. All right, Eliot, good work, pal. We'll talk to you later in the week. Thanks, man.
Yep, sounds good.
Eliot Shorr-Parks.